Immigration in the United States. America has been and is still the world's chief receiving nation for immigrants. This is largely based upon the idea of the American dream, the idea that people can find hope and prosperity in this great country. Even though America has the largest number of immigrants, the attitudes and policies regarding immigration have changed greatly over time. The first wave of immigration to the United States dates back to the early 1600s when colonists came from England. These colonists formed our country. Up to the Revolutionary War, approximately 450,000 immigrants had already come to colonize America. There was no law or policy restricting immigration, and the common person welcomed new colonists. The second wave of immigration started in the early 1800s and ended around 1870. During this time, around 7 million new immigrants came to the United States. Also during this time, many states and large businesses such as railroads sent out representative agents to countries in Europe to attract new immigrants. While these new immigrants helped out the large businesses and states, the large influx of them caused the common person to become afraid. They feared that the new immigrants would compete with them for jobs, and they also were afraid of the immigrants' different religions and political views than their own. Some people even demanded that the government pass laws restricting immigration, but their pleas went unnoticed and unheard, and the ideas of this settled down. This was the first time that the political and personal views of people changed regarding the immigrant. America suffered an economic depression in the 1870s. This depression further concerned many Americans about the new immigrants into the country. In 1875, America passed its first law restricting immigration. This law barred all convicts and prostitutes from entering the country. This was the first law of many that restricted immigration. Also during this time, the common person's attitude toward the immigrants greatly changed. The people of California wanted a law barring Chinese people from entering the country. The Chinese were seen as racially inferior and were hated by many. Some Californians even went as far as holding riots and mobs against the Chinese. The public's attitude was greatly changing. The third phase of immigration lasted from roughly 1881 to 1920. The immigrants during this stage were vastly different from the previous ones. They came from Southern Europe. These new immigrants had different beliefs and values from the common native-born American. This caused a general fear to arise in most people. These people feared that the immigrants threatened America's unity with their different ways. The violence and discrimination previously seen in California arose again, but now it was against other immigrant groups as well, such as the Jews and Roman. In 1882, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. This act prohibited Chinese laborers from entering the country. Other laws were passed that did not allow beggars, contract laborers, and some others to not enter the country. People in the 1890s were tired of the large influx of immigrants into the country and the problems they brought. This in part caused them to adopt and support the idea of imperialism and take on the so-called white man's burden. They believed that if they spread their civilized ways of democracy and Christianity to the other heathen countries, then the people there wouldn't want to immigrate to the United States in the first place. During this time, the Progressive Party was forming. The Progressive Party urged for the reform of many aspects of the American life. Several of the concerns targeted for the reform by the Progressives were direct or indirect results of the large influx of immigrants to the country. In the Progressives' political platform of 1912, they clearly state their view of the immigrant when they say, "Through the establishment of industrial standards, we propose to secure to the able-bodied immigrant and to his fellow native workers a larger share of American opportunity." The Progressives wanted to help the immigrant secure his right to the American dream. They felt that they could reform the corrupt government and solve many problems caused by the immigrants in order to help the immigrants. This wave of immigration came to an end in 1921 when Congress set a quota that limited the number of immigrants from a certain country that could immigrate. This, combined with the rise of the Great Depression a few years later, greatly reduced the number of new migrants to the country. From the rise of the United States to the 1920s, the attitudes and policies regarding immigration have changed significantly. In the beginning, immigrants were welcomed and much needed to start a new nation. As time went on, immigrants became more and more devalued and unwanted by many people in the country. Laws were passed to keep them out, and the ones that had already immigrated were persecuted. Looking back on the reception of immigrants, Americans should feel both pride and shame. These immigrants helped build our country, but they were largely mistreated and taken advantage of. But these immigrants achieved much for our nation, and they enriched the American culture, making it a true melting pot from different cultures around the world.
Okay.
Okay, what's your name?
Hortensia Corona Delgado.
Okay, and what country did you come from?
España.
Okay, how old were you whenever you came to the United States?
How old? What? Old?
Came to the United States. How old were you?
How old? Es que no te entiendo. ¿Cuánto tiempo llevo en... Quit the smile.
I'm sorry, Yaya.
25? I don't know. 25.
Okay, 25. How long have you been in the United States?
How long I've been in the United States?
Sí.
40, more than 40, almost 48 years.
Okay, and why did you come to the United States?
Sí,
Why
¿Por
did
qué?
you come to the United States?
because porque me he casado.
Okay.
En inglés.
En inglés.
En inglés, Yaya.
Oh, in English. I got married.
Okay. And can you describe your experience in the United States?
No tenía experiencia.
No, she.
Not experience. Talk about your experience in the United States.
Oh, I don't know. What, like what?
Do you like the United States?
Well, I came to this country and I fell in love.
Okay.
First place. I came to North Dakota first.
The first place, Florida.
Okay. And who helped you whenever you moved to the United States? Did anyone help you?
Huh?
My husband.
My husband?
Okay. Did you have to take the U.S. citizenship test?
No, it was, what they call
Not until 1989.
Yeah. 1999.
Okay.
Oh,
89.
89 he said.
What was it hard?
It was hard?
Was it difficult?
No, not really.
No? Okay. How did people treat you whenever you first came to the United States?
Very nice.
Okay. And was it hard to get used to the difference between the United States and Spain?
What is it?
Was it difficult to get used to the differences between the United States and Spain?
Well, the English, yeah, the language.
The language? Okay.
Yeah, it was very difficult.
Okay.
It still does.
Do you consider yourself Americanized? Like, do you feel like you're an American? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the best memory you have of coming to the United States?
What is the
What is the best memory of coming to the United States?
name?
Mejor memoria de venir a los Estados.
Well, I don't know that one. Phew.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know that one.
What was the most difficult part of moving?
More difficult, well, yeah, the language.
Leaving behind family.
Oh, yeah. Leaving behind the family, yeah.
Okay. And do you ever see yourself moving back to España?
Do you think you'll ever move back to España to live?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. And here's the last question. How do you feel about the immigration policies today?
How I feel about immigration? I don't know.
Do you think do you think illegals should be able to come here illegally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Illegal.
Legal.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
how have the policies changed? The immigration policies from whenever you came to how they are today? Is there any difference?
More people sneaking in.
That one?
More people sneaking in illegally.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Papa.
Es todo.
I don't know. This is very difficult, you guys.
No.
Okay, thank you, Yaya.
Oh, they say.